connecting to YouTube. And as always, we want to hear from you guys. Comment below the video, Facebook or YouTube. We're going to be talking holiday depression check-in. They're probably going to bellyache about their day like usual. Usually have some good work stories, though.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll get some free therapy.
Per usual.
Oh, the last one was rough. I needed aftercare.
No, that one
Sounds like it.
That one
Oh,
was
for
my
real?
ass too.
Yeah.
That was not a pleasant one.
Yeah.
That was not a pleasant one.
All right, we are connected, I believe. Yep, we are. Good health. Okay, the show is all your guys's.
Great.
When that logo goes away, it's like real.
Yeah, it's like dun dun dun.
No hiding.
No hiding.
How are you?
Wait, do our thing.
Oh, hi. Welcome to Therapy Rebranded, where we're consistently inconsistent.
Ding.
Ding.
I could get a ding effect.
No, you know, so you have
guys
to.
like
We would get a ding. We can get a ding.
Can we get a real ding? Because I feel like
Yeah.
nobody gets it anymore.
No. Our last producer was supposed to get us a real ding, and then that never happened.
My brother, Adam.
I'll have you a ding by the end of the fucking episode.
Yay!
No, what you said? No one gets the joke. What's the joke?
It's not a real joke.
It's not a real
We were
joke.
like really like starting out. I was, like literally maybe like the first time I was like, how cute would it be for us to have like a little ding? And then I started saying ding like as a joke.
All throughout the thing, and now,
Yeah, and now-
nobody's seen any of those episodes, and a lot of them I had
So-
to pull them off YouTube because I was like, ooh, we shared too much.
Yeah.
Oh, shout out to Patreon. I will say we're doing an extra episode every week on Patreon, so check us out. We also have all of the older content that we no longer have on YouTube, and all the live streams and everything that we have is kind of in one succinct
area.
spot. There's a free version of Patreon where it's like all the videos that are kind of everywhere are in one space, and then there's the paid version that has the extra content. So check us out.
It's pretty cool.
How are you doing?
How am I doing?
Yeah, I know we were gonna do brief with this part, but
Do you want it to be brief? Tell me what you...
because I thought we were gonna talk about our personal therapy.
I know, but I can't
Okay.
do it deep. I could do it brief.
You don't have to.
How am I doing? How am I doing? I feel chaotic this week.
Okay.
And I feel tired of myself. That's me.
You feel ready to give up.
I feel ready to yeah. Not in like the
Suicidal
not in like
way?
the grippy sock way.
Okay.
As the kids are saying these days. But in the I need a 2-week vacation. Expeditiously. Quickly and in a hurry. Please.
To salvage your mental health, or
Salvage my mental health. I think I'm burnt out. I think work is burning me out. Like,
we have to talk about that later in the episode.
I know. I'm tired. I'm tired, man. So yeah. Nothing big happened this week. I think, I was telling you earlier, your girl's tired.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you? How are you?
I'm feeling as though everybody at work is like going at a faster pace than me. Like everything seems urgent to everybody, and it's not feeling urgent to me. And I don't know what's going on. Maybe I need a break too.
Urgency is a symptom of white supremacy.
What? Say more.
Oh, brother.
Left field.
I actually learned this it's like like if you do like a DEI thing or whatever.
Yeah,
but
they
also
do
talk about
diversity, equity, and inclusion at your job?
No. That's separate. But like we were having like a discussion about this at work, and somebody brought up like, the sense of like urgency, or like, I have to respond to this email right now, or like I have to do this thing right now, like it has to get done, is like that's some white people shit, essentially.
I hate to disagree with you about white people, but I have to.
Are they procrastinators?
No, it's just like there's urgency because everyone at my job's like all the kids are in crisis, right?
Yes.
So there's like
Yes.
actual
There's a
urgency.
caveat
There's
to
not
that.
some made up thing. It's not
Yes.
about emails. It's just about like,
That's what I thought you were talking about.
I feel like sometimes I like to be strategic with parents,
Mm-hmm.
and like for instance, sometimes there's parents who are like kind of sometimesy and half-ass and like don't call back and don't show up for appointments and like don't do the things that are being asked of them, and then they finally engage and everybody's like, oh my god, give them exactly what they want, do exactly what they want. We finally got something from them, we heard from them, because part of the hospital thing is we're trying to have turnover. We're trying to get people out. So when parents aren't engaging in treatment, it's slowing down turnover, right? So there's like a business push to get kids out quickly. And then there's like the mental health push of like, we're not helping them, having them being outside of the community for this long just because we can't do like the planning we need to do or whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel like therapeutically, we are reinforcing and teaching them that it's actually better to be sporadic and shitty like this because they get everything they want
As soon as they show up.
And I'm not saying we have to withhold things, but I think that it's okay to like meet their energy. Like I think you can call back in 3 hours. Like I think it's okay. And people are like, no, they're going to engage. Don't let it go. Like it's, there's this, so I just.
Also, if they lose interest in 3 hours, you have bigger problems.
I can confirm what you're saying though, as a guy who's the beneficiary of that sort of stuff. And I'm not trying to do that anymore, but I absolutely used to.
Used to do what?
Just you kind of own the lane that I'm kind of a slovenly fuck up, and like you can't, your expectations can't be high for me, and I'll show up late to everything, doctor's appointments, like anything, like an hour late, but I'll charm my way in, and it just, you always get away with it. So then it just becomes your way of being, and you take pride in it in a way.
Yeah.
Like, sick pride.
No, it's true. And well, because it's, you have all the power. And so like what, like for instance, I'll have families that'll do things to me like call me 30 minutes after the session was supposed to start, tell me that they couldn't make it, and ask if they can come later in the day or early tomorrow. And
I have people do that to me.
I always say no, because even if it's available.
Yes.
Because it's a boundary. Like, you didn't respect my time. There's not urgency to this. Get in the back of the line. I'm sorry. Like,
you weren't that worried about it then.
There's natural life consequences. And literally all they would have had to do was call me either before the session or after the session and be apologetic and let me know that an emergency or something came up. Some kind of accountability or ownership about the fact that they weren't respectful of what I was needing. And some people take the approach, and again, this isn't long-term work, right? The goal is to just get them in there, right? But some people will take the approach of, this person's flaky, so when they say they're going to come later today, I'm going to see them because if they're saying they're available, I'm just going to take it because they probably will bail on me if I schedule it in 3 days, right? So there's both perspectives.
Right.
But I lean towards the first one.
And it's just more ethical.
I don't know if it's more ethical, to be honest, because we're not creating long-term relationships, right? It's short-term work, and so like,
but you're
if they get what they want,
am I? Are you not?
I don't think it's more. I don't think it's better than. I think it's just how I approach the situation, because I
don't know if it's better than, because I also understand the needs of the hospital too are a thing. Like, that's also a necessity. But like, if you're just talking about just client care.
But why is it better client care to set boundaries with somebody you're going to see one time?
I don't know.
I don't either.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
You know what I mean? Because it's short term, it just becomes so.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Question.
I'm a little bit counterculture this week, so it's just been interesting, and I'm getting like multiple people messaging me like, this thing is going on and it's urgent, and I'm like, I'll get to it when I get to it.
If it's that urgent, you'll badger me again.
Well, it's not urgent. It's not urgent, right? So like, and the whole my viewpoint, and this is not tested, this is not data, this is just my personal experience. And my personal experience, when you just give them whatever they want and let them come half-ass and like halfway show up and they cancel on you and they don't really care and blah, 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 all these things, you don't get quality time anyways when you're meeting. They're not engaged or invested when you're meeting. So it's not kind of like the meeting's a waste of time anyways. But I know we were talking about like our jobs, but what we had talked about earlier is kind of discussing like, what are you working on in personal therapy right now? Because we're both in personal therapy and being therapists.
Seized up.
And neither one of us talk about work in personal therapy, which I honestly think is an achievement.
Oh yeah, I do not take up time.
I do not take up time.
It's not that deep. Not that I shouldn't say that. For me, at my job, it's not that deep. Work in general could be that deep. My job is irritating, but it's not stressful enough for me to bring it to therapy where I have like actual shit to talk about. And anything at work that's stressful, to be honest, is probably of my own creating.
Yeah.
like, to be completely honest. So, like, if I'm, like, irritated at work, I'm like, bitch, you have anxiety because you didn't do some shit. Like, let's keep it a buck.
I think I used to really struggle with coworker stuff and used to talk about that in therapy, and I'm even off of that now. I think I just
Coworker shit is hard though. Like I have talked about work in therapy, but it has to be like some shit.
Yeah.
For me to bring it up in therapy.
So what are you working on?
Having an existential crisis.
Oh yeah, what was your existential crisis this week? Hence the black and the glasses.
Hence the black.
I'm just kidding.
No, you know what's so funny? The glasses are real. Everybody thinks that I just put them on, but they're like,
But how are they real?
they're like, I'm blind. That's how real they are.
They don't look that thick.
I know they're not that. I'm not like.
They do look like costume glasses, kind of. Like
know.
like you're doing a look.
I know. And
Yeah.
but I actually got them just because I was like, yo, these are like work glasses. They're like blue light, and I'm like nearsighted as fuck.
You might look good in some heavy, dark frames.
I'm getting some new ones.
Look like Yoko Ono.
It's the Asian eyes, right?
Yeah.
That's what
It's good. Yeah.
I've gotten. People think I'm Cambodian or part Cambodian.
What? That's very specific.
That is extremely.
I know.
I don't know. Yeah. I'll have to think about that one.
Maybe Thai sometimes. I think
that. Filipino.
I could see that.
That's also specific.
It is. Mm-hmm. I think it's because of how Asian my eyes look. They pick like a brown Asian place.
I think that's a good assessment.
Sorry.
I think that's probably exactly their thinking. I don't know where they get it from, but yes.
Ethnic Asian looking.
Please tell me what your existential crisis was over. Sorry, guys, I'm doing something for the podcast, not texting.
Yeah, we're trying to get the chat up, but
My existential crisis.
I'll fill in for you, Javae.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
What are you sad about this week?
What did you bitch about in therapy
Yeah.
this week, Rachel?
How do you guys pick, like when you pick a therapist, as a therapist, that must be extremely sensitive in a way or whatever? Like, is it hard not to judge what they're doing? Because you know their
For me,
tricks.
It is, but I think I enjoy being a client. Like I like being able to relax. I also like trust my therapist and really like her feedback and feel like she's like, I can be direct with her if I need to. And so I know she's also pushing me because I'm a therapist, and I actually like that.
Did she work with you? Like, I mean, in your office?
No.
Okay.
God, no.
I wasn't sure if you guys did that. Like, I can see that happening, and I can
No,
also.
I don't think you can do that.
I can see it being a huge conflict too.
Yeah,
so.
that would be huge. So no, we only meet via telehealth, which is like the first time I've ever really done that. And she most of the time isn't even in Minnesota. So
Have you ever done therapy for somebody, like, even if it's like informal in a sense, like, have you ever sort of, I don't know, felt like you're on the line, but, should I be doing therapy with this person? Like, whether it's a friend or someone like that, or someone who's in your orbit?
like, should I be offering to do therapy with them?
Is it okay to do therapy with, like, a friend?
No.
Right. So I wouldn't think a friend, but let's say one layer out.
Like a friend of a friend?
Friend of a friend. No. So just if you know them at all personally.
I mean, somebody could like slide me some like cash under the table, and I'd give you like a one-off. Like, you can meet up at my house, and we could get
Are we
coffee.
talking about therapy?
Yeah, but we like
Okay.
literally it's a date. But I'd call it like, we can just hang out and I'll like talk to you, bro. But like, we don't need. I'm not.
It sounded like a hand job,
therapy.
but yeah, you can give me some
too.
money. I'll give you
Slide
a
me
one
some
off.
cash.
Yeah.
Like 150 or something.
I am really struggling to find this.
Okay.
Let me see if I have it.
It's just for the chat.
I
That's
know.
what I hate that it updates like this, but they can chat on the NBC page on Facebook, but we usually do well on YouTube. So
What was I gonna say? I think the thing about
how about this? I'll talk to Javae now if Rachel's gonna look.
No, it's better.
I gotta make sure.
Okay.
It's the right.
Talk to me.
Okay, I'll talk to you. What's going on with your so Christmas coming up? Do you have
No, we're not.
Do you have a
switching that.
boyfriend right now?
Fuck no.
You don't?
No.
What do you think about dating?
But we can take this back to we can circle that back to my therapy session.
Okay.
Your existential crisis.
My existential crisis includes romance at some point. So good segue, Gabe.
Why? Yeah. Okay. I'm interested in this.
He threw me an and one. What I've been talking about in therapy is mostly
It's trying to say my Gmail password is our YouTube password. Would that make any sense?
Yes, it is. It is the same thing.
Okay, great. I can send that to you.
Okay. Thanks.
Cool.
I kind of interrupt. We were talking about family stuff at the beginning of my therapy session, and essentially I kind of interrupted her and said, can we talk about something totally different that I've been kind of thinking about all week? And
How does it feel when your therapist has an agenda and you just like pivot?
I love it.
Do you?
And she loves it.
Okay.
She'd rather me bring shit anyway.
Okay.
And normally it actually is me bringing shit, but she kind of like will be like, okay, last week we revisited this. Like, where are you at this week? You know? Mm-hmm. What I've been talking about is feeling essentially dissatisfied / trying to figure out the feeling of life that I want. That's the best way I can kind of say it. And it's not that I dislike my life now. I really, really love my life right now. But I think I'm trying to think about what is the life that I want to live, like thinking about, you know, how I want to form that. I've never really sat down and done that before, I think. So
I'm going to say something that sounds rude and I don't mean it to be rude.
I trust you.
Okay, this sounds like psychobabble.
I know.
You beat me to it.
It sounds like
anxious.
psychobabble. It means
It's anxious.
nothing. I don't know what you're trying to say. And
I
when
don't
we were
either.
hanging out before this, I was trying, but I just...
Bro, no. And so I didn't even get to tell you this earlier. Eva said you're so anxious.
Okay, yes. Shout out to Eva.
This is like someone just wanting to have problems.
No,
it's like anxious.
I think you have a problem and you're trying to like
Control it.
figure out what it is, and I don't think you're it's
So that's what I'm saying is I was kind of having like an anxious spiral.
okay.
And like I said in session, I was like, none of this shit fucking matters. Like I said that to her, like none of this shit matters. I think it's just sitting on me because of like all the shit that's been going on this year where it feels like I'm like thrown off course, but I'm really not.
And you're sure
That I'm not thrown off course.
Yeah.
I don't think I was thrown off or on a course. I just feel like,
you know what? When you talk about how you feel like there's a way that you're supposed to be trying to feel all the time,
oh my God, you're Eva.
that really aligns for me because you have really unrealistic expectations of how you should feel.
I know I have a fantasy of
Yep.
like how things should be.
Yeah. You have like a fantasy about like you're going to be able to get into the right mindset and then you're going to be able to feel however you want to feel. And that's not true. So you're just making up psychobabble because you don't want to accept it.
Essentially.
Are you a mode person? Like, do you set things where you go like, I'll deal with that as soon as I get this done, but I can't do anything until I do this?
No.
Not task-wise.
Okay.
Emotion-wise.
Well, yeah. I mean, to me, there's tasks that have emotion tied to it, like that, like where it's a big task.
I think that's a good question. I didn't think that was so tough, by the way, but I appreciate that feedback.
Well, I basically told you that your therapy session was bullshit, but I love you.
No, but that's
I'm sure Eva called you on it too, but I'm just saying, like, this is
what I'm saying.
psychobabble.
She let me go on for like, she was like, bro, what was that?
Yeah. I feel so disappointed in myself that I can't find this, and I'm going to give up. And I'm going to join the live.
Okay.
Okay. Do you guys like when you're whatever? What do you call a client or whatever? When they talk, when they come in and just talk. I had once where I talked the entire session, like fucking wall to wall, and I truly like it was like done, and I went, "Did you even ask a question?" And she goes, "I asked one," and I truly was like, "Holy shit!" Like it was embarrassing, and she was like, "No, it's good." Like I don't know.
When I have sessions like that, sometimes she'll let me go, and I notice that she does it more and more because she's like, you have to catch yourself. And so more and more I do, like I'm like, oh, she hasn't said anything.
Mm-hmm. She's not vibing with what
She's not vibing with what I'm saying, and she's waiting for me to check in and be like, oh, this is it. And she'll go, yeah, this is it.
Mm-hmm. You know what I think is interesting? You didn't have any drama this week, and you just like
That's what I'm saying about the up and down thing. Like in between space is hard.
yeah.
I don't even know why I explain it like that, but yeah, the in between space is hard for me when there's nothing going on. I'm like, my system's like, oh, how do we exist?
So you guys are working on some self-awareness maybe?
Yes.
And relaxing?
Yes. Like real relaxing.
Real relaxing.
Not
like
filling my time relaxing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fun.
Fun. Real things, real life. Once the drama's over, you have to deal with the real shit.
You do, unfortunately.
Unfucking fortunately. Nobody told me it would be like this. I say this to you like every time we hang out, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your therapy.
I am working on in therapy the fact that I keep feeling like I have these relationships squared away. Like I feel like I'm in, this isn't about my romantic relationship, but I feel like I have friendships and family relationships where I feel as though I thought I was in a space of like acceptance of the things that either wasn't going to get in that relationship, the work that comes with being in that relationship, or like how I was going to show up in that relationship, at least right now. But I find myself getting really triggered and activated anytime they do something irritating. Mm-hmm. And so we just started having all these different conversations around like the difference between like giving up on your relationship versus accepting it. And how, like, I realize that in certain relationships in my life, I try really hard. I, like, throw everything I can at the wall to try to make the relationship work. Like, for instance, maybe it'll be, like, a family relationship where I'm like, I have to set boundaries in this relationship. I don't even want to, but these, like, 3 things that they do make me feel like I don't want to be in a relationship with them. Mm-hmm. And I'll try to set the boundary 15 different ways because like I don't even need to be acknowledged that I'm right. I just need the thing to stop. Mm-hmm. And then it doesn't work. And I'm like, okay, I'm never going to get them to accept this boundary. I'm sad about it. I talk about it in therapy. It's fine. I like create space but still stay in relationship with them. And then I'm like going about my life and then they do something that violates that boundary 3 months later, and I'm like up in arms, and I'm in like a 10. And just having this conversation about like, if I was in a space of acceptance where I really knew that that's who that person was, is it normal? And I don't know the answer, but is it normal to still get this activated every time they do something that reminds me I'm never going to get that thing? That doesn't feel like a space of acceptance.
Can I ask? I don't even know if this is an important question or not, but
does it make sense?
Why do you have to get to a point of acceptance with this specific thing?
It's not specific things. It's like a relational thing.
A relational thing.
Because I'm really trying to.
I understand why, like in theory, but like for you, like.
I feel like this is kind of too vulnerable to talk about on the podcast because everybody's gonna shit on me because it's pretty like not left. But yeah. I think that I'm trying to really. Just for a second, sit back, ponder, and think about what I'm willing to have to disagree on, not respect, not see, like not align with in relationship and still keep that relationship. Like something that makes me think about it is like Israel-Palestine, right?
Yeah.
Like, or when all the stuff with Black Lives Matter was out or whatever, or Trump. Like, I think about political things a lot, but I also think about, like, expectations I have and, like, how you show up in a relationship. So all of these different things. And, like, I think a lot of the conversation right now is around, at least for our age group and in, like, the bubble we're in, is kind of around having the guts, I would say, to, like, cut somebody off.
Yeah.
Who doesn't share those values.
Yeah.
And I already have those guts. Like, it's not like I'm, feel afraid. Mm-hmm. But I think there's a part of me that's, like, for some relationships, those things aren't enough. I'm just going to be honest, they're not. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, like, how do I be in relationship with someone whose values I don't share, that doesn't respect my boundaries at times, but I love them enough or I want them around enough that I want to still stay connected to them? Mm-hmm. How do I do that and not feel like less of a person?
Like you're still living to your values?
Yes.
Can I ask a question? Because
yes.
Just for clarity. So, because I guess what I'm hearing, am I mistaken to say like just so if you disagree with someone, you cut them off?
No, it's more of
I mean, I know it's like a deeply held issue or something like that. But
it's not. It's like disrespect, or it's like it's feeling like when your boundaries.
Well, so like for instance, like an example would be like if I disagreed with somebody on Israel Palestine, would I cut them off? No, but like
how they go.
What if every time I see them, they bring it up?
Sure. Well,
right?
yeah.
So that's like
because then they're provoking or whatever.
Right. So that's the place where I'm at. Kind of is like I'm at the place now where it's like okay, I can disagree with you. I can even be disappointed.
At what point do you decide though that because truly I think that's what's missing in our society right now is like truly meaningful interaction with people that you disagree with because we all get into our echo chambers. How do you decide when is enough? Because if you get upset you know.
Well, it's more honestly like that was kind of an easy example around
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
It was more like people
Relationally.
in my family or around me who don't respect
Oh.
my boundaries or don't show up in the way that I want them to show up.
I'll shut the
And
fuck
like,
up.
how do I stay in relationship with them, right? So like, for instance,
Is the thing that you're... Go ahead.
I don't have an answer. But it's
No,
the
I
thing
know,
I'm
yeah.
sitting and pondering and being curious about is because
Yeah.
I go to myself, adult me to me goes, listen, you fucking care about this person. You see them quarterly. They exhaust you sometimes when you see them, but other times it's really filling when you see them. You can just fucking agree to disagree, or you can just know that they're annoying about this thing, or you can just know, and it's not just political things. Maybe
Yeah.
it's like every time you see them, they just like ask you about your sex life or something in a way that's weird, whatever. But everything else about the interaction's good. And it just becomes like,
What else do you get from the
I want to get to a point where I can see a pattern in somebody else, not like that thing about that person, decide I'm still going to be in relationship with them.
Why?
And not have it be activated. Because these are people I decided already I want to be in relationship with. I'm thinking that I'm accepting the fact of where they are.
But could you be activated and just be activated about it?
Okay. I mean, yeah.
I know what you're saying. I think I'm
I'm talking about like my mom or something like that. Like
No,
I'm not
yeah.
talking about like a random person.
No,
right?
no. I feel like I no, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be glib. I'm really asking like I
don't know. Can
Yeah.
you be in a place? Is being in a place of acceptance still mean you're going to be activated by them every time they do something irritated and it's going to fucking ruin your day? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. To be honest,
It's like
is that the standard? Is that the bar? Because then I got to start reconsidering some things.
I think it's something that like feeling the feeling is like
You know, when you have people in your life,
and family is different than other people.
It
too.
is.
Yeah.
and you have issues, you have conflict, you have whatever, and you're so activated during it that you feel like you no longer want to be in relationship with
It's
them.
that big.
It's that big. Or
Could you talk to this person about it?
Sorry. Or like your probably inner monologue is, and see, that's where you and I are different because
Yeah.
I think I go to, I don't want to be in a relationship, and you go to, they are going to leave me. I think we're very different.
No, not even in a you're gonna leave, but in a way like and not I don't think that the relationship doesn't sound like, you know, or the relationships that you're talking about don't sound like they're like in jeopardy. Like this person isn't like they're not threatening to go anywhere.
Right.
But if you brought up like whatever the thing is that's making it, would they like, and you know they wouldn't leave, like what would happen?
They would acknowledge that they're doing it. This is like an across the board thing. This isn't one person thing.
Yeah.
This is like everybody.
Yeah.
Like friends
Yeah.
too. Okay.
Yeah.
They would acknowledge that they were doing the thing. This is what happens 90% of the time.
Yeah.
They would acknowledge that they were doing the thing. This is like after a fight. Let's say they like had the healthy response or whatever, and they were like,
And sorry, I like dialed down too much.
No, you're good. I just am feeling misunderstood, which is
Yeah.
frustrating me because I'm usually good at explaining things.
Yeah.
But they like would I lost my train of thought. They would like I would explain to them, this is the thing you're doing. This is what's difficult for me. Like, and they would probably hear me be like, I'm gonna work on doing that. Some people would argue with me and be like, I'm not fucking doing that. You're putting this on me, kind of thing, whatever. But most people in my life would be like, oh, I'm sorry, I won't do that again. They didn't even have the self-awareness to know what they were doing. They don't really know what we're talking about. They just apologized because they care about my feelings, which I really appreciate.
Yeah.
It's why I want to be in relationship with them.
They love it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they don't have the self-awareness to know they were doing it. So they never do that specific situation again, but they do a variation of it over and over and over.
And it's taxing as fuck. Yeah.
Javae, your mom's on the phone back here.
It's actually not my mom.
Just joking.
My mom is one of the people who I can actually has enough self-awareness to know what I'm talking about. But I feel like a lot of times, which is like, I couldn't ask for more. Is like, you don't really know what I'm asking for, but you care enough to, not my mom, but you care enough to like, jump in or apologize for how I felt or whatever. And it feels authentic. It feels sincere. I appreciate it. And it's not satisfying.
Yeah, it's not enough.
People who are well-intentioned, but the relationship's still draining and not satisfying is hard too. Yeah, so that's what I'm working on.
Man, you guys are fucking under a lot of weight.
I know.
Well,
I don't feel like,
being
you know what's so funny? I feel light throughout the day. Like, I feel light throughout, like, the time. And then I, like, go to therapy and I, like, tap in.
Yes.
I'm not, like, thinking about this all day.
Yeah.
I just, like, go into therapy and I'm, like, here's a theme. Like, I kind of am like, here's a theme that's going on that I notice.
Do you ever wonder
Talk about this.
if, like, working in your guys' job in this arena of feelings and ideas and emotions, you're fixating on it?
Yes.
Like, do you ever wonder if you're putting too much emphasis on it in a sense?
Yes, I do.
Do you?
Yeah, I get caught up. Like, I get caught up in it. Like, I get tired of myself. Like, I think that's part of it. Like, I'm just, like, in my head, like, considering clients, and then it turns to, like, considering myself, and then I'm just, like, it, like, is a cycle, I feel like.
That's why having kids is the shit. For real. That's like my
Why?
pitch for it, because that's truly what I tell people is, how'd you like to not lay in bed and fixate about yourself and your problems? Have kids, because it's just immediately like
It sounds
you just
worse.
worry about them. No, it's
Your
better.
heart
It's
outside
free.
your body sounds worse.
I mean, not for me.
No.
So, yeah, that's what I'm working on in therapy. But no, for me personally, I don't sit around all the time thinking about this shit. So, not really. But
You tap into it.
the thing that I do think is hard with having all this mental health knowledge is I'm constantly thinking about, like, the things I could be doing that would be helping my mood overall that I'm not doing. Like, eating well. And it's not, like, all the time, but it's, like, in the morning when I, like, skip breakfast or something, I, like, have the thought, like, you're going to pay for that in 4 hours. Or, like, or if I, like, go to bed super late, you know, I'm, like, you know, you're going to be drained in the morning, kind of, like, emotional. Like, I think being that tapped into, like, the things you're doing are fucking up your mood. Like, you know, if you just would have worked out before this podcast, you wouldn't have been anxious. Like, you know, knowing all that.
Yeah.
I think that's where mine gets a little bit toxic, because I think my voice that I talk back to with that is just like, yeah, but you didn't get over it. I move on.
Yeah.
Because I think there's only so much you can do.
I want to circle back to, like, your overall question. When you bring it to your therapist, what feels helpful? Not even in a solution based, but what is just, like, helpful about, like, sharing it with your therapist?
What thing?
Like a theme like that.
I feel like my therapist gives me feedback, so that's helpful. And then we're doing, like, EMDR, so we're doing trauma therapy. So a lot of what's coming up for me is things we're processing in trauma therapy, and I'm walking through the world and having, like, aha moments and bringing that to therapy. So I'm kind of like, what kind of led me to the acceptance versus giving up is like, I truly don't know the answer, but I'm just in a space of curiosity around, like, would I be feeling sick to my stomach when I get texts from this person if I was really in a space of acceptance? Probably
That
not.
made me get it.
Probably
That
not.
clicked for me.
So, like, I need to kind of sit in that and figure it out a little bit.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
I wasn't understanding, I think, like, the gravity. And then as you, like, explain, like, add more adjectives to it, like, that's, like, yeah.
Like calling my mom at 9:30 in the morning to be like, this fucking message. I'm like, you know, I'm in the closet pacing because I'm, like, trying to have privacy while I have a meltdown at 9 and
Like,
he's on the phone and for work. And, you know, like, I'm, like, shaky. Like, I'm like, and it's over something that's not a 10. So I'm like, is part of this about the fact that you actually don't feel good about the fact that you're accepting some of this? Like, where is this coming from? Where is this all coming in? Like, it's all just not.
It's not sitting with you.
It's not sitting with me. So, yeah, that's what I'm working on.
Damn, bitch.
Speaking of not feeling great, I wanted to talk about the holiday blues because I was thinking about
Maybe that's what I have.
the ways in which my job changes during the holidays, and I think it's pretty different for you. Your
My
job's
shit
probably
keys
easier.
No.
Oh.
No, this shit is keyed the fuck up every year.
So how are your clients doing with you taking 2 weeks off?
They're outpatient, not my problem. No.
Do they know?
No, I'm just joking. Yeah. I let people know. Most people are like, oh, okay, cool. Like, they've been seeing me so much, they're like, I don't want to see your fucking face either for 2 weeks, girl.
Yeah.
But most of them are like, oh, I'm so happy for you. Like, where are you going? I think there's, like, probably, like, one or two, like, oh my God, what am I going to do without you? And then, but it's not, like, a real
Yeah.
Everybody's stable. Just everybody's struggling like with family stuff. I think almost all my clients have like, nobody has a great family situation going on right now. Like nobody's feeling good about the holidays. A couple of my clients, you know, what's going on in the world is really like impacting them and affecting them and not making them want to celebrate, even if they're not like directly linked. Like it just feels not celebratory this year, which I understand. But I think other therapists where I work probably have clients with like a higher like more suicidal ideation and things. My client load doesn't have a lot of that right now, but I know your work is like way fucking different.
No, mine keys up too, but actually with the drop off, I mean, it's probably the holidays, but also.
And mine is also like fake keyed up. Like yours is real keyed up. Mine is like marriage, like we're fighting over, like people just get stressed.
That's real keyed up.
It is real keyed up. It's not like nothing like life at stake. Anyway.
I think for the holidays, like, I can't tell how much of it's the holidays and the semester ending. Because I think there's a lot of kids whose mental health tanks, like, the last 2 weeks of the semester when they realize that they're not going to pull it off. Like, whatever ruse that they've been doing for the last couple months to, like, get through or bullshit their way to their parents or to the people in their life that, like, they are going to make it through and they're not having a mental health crisis. All of that falls away very quickly. I also notice a lot of kids when they realize they're not going to pass start to refuse going to school. Like they're like, I don't really want to be there, and I have 30 missing assignments. I don't want to go back and see that teacher at all, and I'm not going to pass, so there's no point. I found this article on NAMI. It's like so crazy. This is like 10 years ago now. I'm depressed, but
And still happening.
just that was 10 years ago. Nuts. 64% of people with mental illness report holidays make their conditions worse. I thought this was interesting because I do feel like.
I also wonder like what like ethnography, like what ethnic background like they're using for this too.
I don't know. It's
Don't
not
you
a lot
feel like
of
that's
people.
just everybody? I feel like that's, in a way, obvious.
I feel like it's like a Western.
Even though I love this sheet, by the way. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, just that overall stat. Like, I don't know.
Well, I think it's interesting that the holidays specifically would make it worse if you already had mental illness.
Oh, yeah. The only people who like the holidays are rich white women.
I don't think so. I think kids love them too.
Oh, yeah, kids. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't count.
Yeah.
But
Oh, okay. Adults.
Yeah, for adults.
And people with little kids often love the holidays.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
As long as you feel like you're giving them a good holiday. That's
Yeah,
that's
there's
got to
still
be
pressure,
real
though.
depression. It's got to be real depression if you're like, I don't have the resources, whether that's like the mental stability or the money to give them a decent holiday.
That is depression
sucks.
expeditiously. Depression
Yeah.
train.
It's even the stress of when are you getting your money to shop and like your time and all the obligations and stuff. It's just it's a pressure cooker in general. Expectations of your family, like, yeah.
Exactly.
There is a I think too that one of the things that kind of bites you in the ass about the holidays is if you buy into it all is that you're supposed to be happy. So I think you feel even worse about yourself if you're not happy. If you believe
like summer.
the narrative. Yes, like if you believe the narrative that this is the happiest time of year and you're going to be having all of this joy and you feel like shit, I feel like you probably feel even more shame and like a failure. I just
Yes.
like
If you can't pull and right, you don't feel happy about the holidays and the fucking commercials and like all like the lights and everything are just all around you and you're like, what's wrong with me that I don't feel festive?
I fucking hate when my single friends too are like, I'm single on Christmas. I'm like, this doesn't matter.
I've never gave a fuck about that shit actually.
It doesn't matter.
It literally matters. It's also like I'm usually with my family on like holidays. I don't know.
Well, maybe that's why you don't care because you like your family.
But also like I don't know. I'm also like I grew up Jewish, so I just feel like we ate like Chinese food and went to the movies on like most of the holidays that everybody else did shit on. So they just feel regular to me. Like
Yeah.
like I just like that it's snowing outside and it looks pretty. But I could sit inside and eat Chinese food on Christmas and like.
Do you guys like getting gifts? Are you good gift like getters or openers? Like I hate getting gifts.
Oh, I love it.
The pressure to like look grateful, like for some reason, just
I don't worry
makes
about
me
that because I
implode.
am grateful.
Well, like I can't
Sometimes
fucking hide it if it's a shitty gift. Like I'm just like, it's hard for me to go. Oh, like I can do a fake one. I can
I
go.
just like
Oh,
being
thank
thought
you,
about.
but it feels fake.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of awkward getting gifts sometimes. It's definitely awkward. But I really enjoy giving gifts. I really enjoy
You're a
watching
good gift
people-
giver.
Me too.
I am a good gift
You're a
giver.
very thoughtful gift giver.
I am. Yeah. So I don't know. I was trying to strain and read the different reasons, and it looks like it's.
I can read it if you want.
Yeah, please.
So it says, let's see. Do you want the survey numbers? Let's see. So it says, for many people, the holiday season is not always the most wonderful time of the year. What the survey shows is a tremendous need for people to reach out and watch out for each other in keeping with the spirit of the season. And then the last thing with the stats, which was the cool part, I think, was of 755 overall respondents. Let's see, they reported that the holidays contribute to feeling sad or dissatisfied. 68% feel financially strained. 66% have experienced loneliness. 63% too much pressure.
Me.
57% unrealistic expectations, which to me is the same.
Also me.
55% found themselves remembering happier times in the past. That's one of the saddest fucking things I've ever heard.
So upsetting.
50
No, but grief, a dead loved one.
Oh, yeah.
We're assholes.
We are, but it
We
is
both laughed like hard as
No,
fuck.
it is
kind of
sad
funny, though.
It
No,
is
it is
funny.
sad.
It is funny, and it is sad. But I'm just saying.
Just how they worded it was like pathetic sounding.
It is pathetic.
no one wants to be that. No one wants to be sitting there and I remember.
No, but grief, the holidays are the hardest, especially like the first holiday without somebody is like the worst.
50% were unable to be with loved ones.
That's sad.
Yeah,
If
I
you're
don't
like
know.
into that, like if you're like into like, if you grew up like around like the Christmas tree and stuff, like I have a lot of clients who like struggle with that they're now in families or partnerships where the dream that they had of family looks different, but they like it's based on like their hard drive of family, and like they're struggling with that. So I see that come up a lot.
I just think this is interesting because, I mean, really, a lot of this is just created. Imagine like
That's what I was going to say.
this is literally a created concept. This was just made, and this is affecting culture's mental health. This fucking holiday that they've made and blew out of proportion that starts at November 1st.
Put it this way.
Because-
Do you feel bad for like people on Valentine's Day if they don't have a Valentine? Like,
No.
but yet you do feel bad for people for this holiday. And it's really the same
It's
construct.
not, but to me, it's not about the. I think you know what? I feel like there's a distinction in my brain because I just realized when people say the holiday blues, I figured it only happens to people in cold places.
I have that same prejudice.
I actually
And
like.
it's
I just realized that. Like, when you've been talking about this entire time, I just assumed that it was like, well, yeah, like coincides with like seasonal depression. But I kind of assume that like people in California don't get that.
I bet they do.
But I think that they do. I just have never like considered it, which is that sounds really idiotic.
Let me
That's what
tell
I
you.
do, but I've just never.
I'm sure there's a lot of overlap. Like, there's definitely more depressed people in places where there's winter just because of seasonal depression.
Yeah.
But
Like a lot of people are like, I have depression around the holidays, but what they actually are talking about is like all along the winter is like how alone they are, or like that they can't be outside as much, or they can't do the things that they really like, or it just gets harder. Like they're not actually talking about the holidays. Like and maybe it's just because where we live, like in other places, it might be different things, but
think about like all the people at work, like making small talk and talking about like what's one of the big questions is like, what are you doing for Christmas?
Yeah.
What do you do with like? I think there's a lot of opportunities to be in a space to say like I don't have loving, supporting family members who want to be around me. I don't know.
no, that is, and especially when you work like
Yeah.
with other mental health professionals, that's like
Yes.
all that everybody's bringing up. Like, I have to talk to my mom.
Yep. Yeah. Are the holidays ever hard for you? Is Christmas? Do you guys celebrate Christmas for real? For real?
No, as kids we had like stockings, and we had
Okay.
like a tree like once in a while. In college, I like had a tree with my roommates. My mom kind of made sure we like did like all the holidays. Like we didn't celebrate Easter, but we had like the spring bunny come, and like we like did like an Easter egg hunt and stuff. Like,
The spring bunny, I'm dead.
but not the Easter bunny. But I don't know.
Do you
Most of
guys-
I think because my family like looked different all the time. Like different people were at it every year. Like sometimes years it was big and some years it was small. So like there wasn't one group that I got attached to. It was
don't
more
remember-
like the tradition maybe. But even that I'm like, I don't feel super, like I'm not doing any of the Hanukkah stuff this year. I don't feel any type of way about it really. It's kind of relieving actually.
You don't remember your first Christmas when your parents divorced? Or like the first holidays after your parents divorced? You don't remember any of that?
No, because I think we didn't celebrate a lot of them together anyway.
Where was your dad?
Getting laid.
There's a
Well,
picture. No, actually though. But sorry,
This
Dad.
is part of the story.
No, my dad. There's a picture of my dad on like Christmas when I was like 5, and he's sitting in the chair in all black with the hood up, with the drawstring tied around his face like this.
Like he's pissed he has to be there.
Pissed that he has to be there watching his kids open up gifts at like 6 a.m. So that's
So he looks like you, but with a hood.
Yes.
no, legit, and like a beard. Actually, we all look identical. It's sick, actually.
It is.
I'm my daddy's son.
So they're not hard for you because they didn't have a lot of meaning. I mean, they had some meaning, but there wasn't a
Yeah.
specific way they had to look or feel to be like the right holiday.
Yeah, I think birthdays have that for me.
Yeah, they do.
I have a lot. I know it's so childish. Literally everybody's like, "Oh, here comes Rachel's fucking birthday this year."
How many days is your birthday extravaganza?
Fucking month.
That's what I figured.
At least, well, not really. Maybe like the week or something.
You're definitely a weekend person. Like the whole weekend has to be planned. If like your boyfriend, oh my god.
I was pretty chill this year.
Okay.
This
Well, you
year-
didn't have a boyfriend, so.
I didn't have a boyfriend. But even like that, like last year I did a bonfire.
Yeah. You had a 3-day event this year.
What do you expect for gifts? Like
No,
you know,
I know.
like
Nobody got her a
from your
gift.
boyfriend.
Oh.
Oh, from a boyfriend?
Yeah. Like I mean, do you put?
No, I don't do it. I don't like. It's not like a money thing. I just like to be like the fact that somebody like was thoughtful.
I just like to be worshipped.
Like he got me literally, no, actually, but
Yeah.
he got me like my ex got me what's it called, like Taco Bell, like for lunch on that day, and it's like my favorite thing, and it like made me so happy.
But was that your whole present? No.
No, he got me some shoes too.
Yeah.
But not even like super expensive shoes, just like one, like I think the
Yeah.
Uggs that are on my feet, like.
Yeah.
Do you guys relate to? I wanted to ask this because you mentioned, Rachel, that the whole like that you're lonely through the winter kind of thing.
Yeah.
I definitely remember I don't know, like a vibe at least at some point that is in the air where it's like it's wintertime. You got to get like your mate for the winter kind
Cuffing
of.
season.
Yeah, what's that? What's it called?
It was called cuffing season.
Me right now.
You're supposed to get a boyfriend or girlfriend in the winter and the fall and the winter, and then you're supposed to break up before the
right.
summer.
Yeah, we call it a belly warmer.
Oh,
you got to get
wow.
a belly warmer for the winter.
Sick.
Yep. I wasn't sure if you guys had that same thing,
That's
so I was
so
curious.
old. Oh my gosh, I've heard that, but like in an old ass movie before.
Oh yeah,
I've never heard that.
it's super old.
Never heard
That's
that.
really funny. Yeah.
All my
that's what
references
that
are at
is.
least 100 years old.
At least.
They're from the 1900s.
I forgot the question. Sorry.
I asked if the holidays were hard for you, and you said no. The holidays are not.
Yeah, how are they for you?
They're fine. I'm trying to think.
But
when
I
my
also
dad
just
was
lied.
alive,
Like, being around my family is fucking hard sometimes.
when my dad was alive, it was kind of like there was a little nagging, nasty feeling a little bit about the holidays when he was alive because it was kind of like a time of year where there was an opportunity to have an awkward exchange, whether that would be like me getting shit on because I'm not coming to Christmas or him not saying anything about us not seeing each other on Christmas, which kind of stung even though I didn't want him to talk to me. Then after my dad died, I was like, oh, this shit's like, it was because the stuff on my mom's side has always been easy.
The guilting went away to some degree.
The guilting went away, yeah. And then there was like an extended Christmas actually on my mom's side that I used to go to that I hated going to. And when I became adult, I was like, I'm not going anymore. And they were kind of like, nah. And then when they realized I was serious after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, they got let go. Everyone just let it go. So the holidays are not hard for me. But I can see how they would be difficult for people. And I often have clients who recently either like lost a parent or a friend or a close family member, and they seem to fixate on it around the holiday season in a way that they don't. And I think it's because like there's all this like love and connection and joy in the air. And I think people just
Makes them want to.
jump.
I was gonna.
Speaking of wanting to jump, one of the things I wanted to talk about was forgiveness, because I watched Amanda Seales do this podcast about forgiveness, and it really was like, boom, blew my mind open, and then I forgot about it for like a month. I had all these notes I took on it.
I remember this. Also, side note: can the name of this episode be "Speaking of Wanting to Jump"?
Yes.
Okay, continue.
And I was just thinking about forgiveness because I think it's something that people talk about, and there's all these like different takes on what's the most beneficial thing to do for yourself, kind of.
People think of it in such a religious way, I think.
I don't think it's just a religious way. I also think like when I think of like memes online and stuff, it's about like something about you is elevated or better than if you're able to forgive.
You're doing it for yourself.
And I was just wondering, like, Do you think it can be a goal in therapy to forgive somebody?
I'm sure it could. It's so arbitrary, though.
But, like, let's make it not arbitrary, like, to forgive your mom.
For what? That sounded more like testy than I meant.
For
I just feel like
having a drinking problem from when you were 7 to 13, and she's been sober for the last 10 years.
I think it depends what, like, not forgiving them is doing to you. Like, are you drinking and stuff because, like, you're not forgiving your mom? Like, that's harmful to you. But, like, if it's, like...
But do you think that you could, like, even just to back up, whether it's a good goal or not...
Okay.
Do you think...
No, I don't think it's a good goal.
It's not. I know it's not a good goal.
Yeah.
Do you think that somebody can accomplish that alone in therapy? To forgive their parent or to forgive somebody? Like, is that something you can do by yourself in a session? So. Why not?
Because I think you can't, it will feel like you forgave them, I think, because you're just dealing with yourself. But when you come back into contact with them, you might get triggered, or those things might come up, or their behaviors haven't changed. And so...
What is the difference between forgiveness and acceptance? Because that's something that I worked on in therapy, like accepting that you won't get, an attaboy from,
To me, I feel like forgiveness, the difference is... I don't know if this is right or not.
By the way, you guys both, it's like you guys just gave each other a virus where you both start modulating your voice and then start talking really soft today. It's the weirdest fucking thing. You're like twins.
Or what's it called? There's like a word for that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or mirroring. Go.
Yes, there you go.
Mirroring. Forgiveness is... It's like more altruistic or something. It's like you're doing it for you, but you're also like, you're like letting something go. You're like getting it out of your body is like the image that I have, or like the idea that I have. Mm-hmm. Like it's, you have to like, you're like, I did my work, I processed it, and I have to like let this shit go. Like it's damaging me or something like that. I don't know. And I feel like I'm forgetting the other word. Acceptance. Acceptance is like almost like a stalemate. And it's not even a negative. It's just they're over there and I'm here and I don't need to let this go, but it just is. I don't know. I don't have like specific language for it.
I feel like for me, forgiveness is, well, first of all, I think it's interesting to talk about whether or not you can even forgive somebody who's not asking to be forgiven. Ooh. I don't know what the purpose of that is, so we can dive into that in a second.
That's a good one.
It's a good way to win an argument. I forgive you.
Ugh, that's icky.
I can see.
Oh, I know.
15-year-old me would have been like, I didn't ask you to forgive me. 29-year-old me would have been like, okay,
thanks,
and kept talking. Okay, and kept going.
You're weird.
You're weird. How can I pass through in my tone that I think you're fucking weird without acknowledging what you did?
I think you just go, ugh.
I just go, okay, move on.
Next point.
Go back to what I was talking about.
Okay, do your forgiveness.
I feel like forgiveness is about something that happened, and it almost feels like acceptance is about the future.
Like, talk more about that.
And I don't know if this is true or not. I'm just kind of riffing, but it feels like forgiveness is looking towards the past and looking at specific actions or a person that you're in relationship with and letting that shit go. And I think part of letting it go is looking back and understanding that it wasn't about you. I think that's the easiest tool to forgiveness, is to get into a place of empathy where you feel sorry for them or you give them an excuse, but where you are curious enough about them that you can actually figure out why they did that shit. And most of the time it has nothing to do with you. And I think that's really freeing. Mm-hmm. I think the acceptance piece is for you internally, because I think it's accepting what that relationship looks like going forward. And I also think it's accepting the consequences of that relationship that you have to live with. Mm. So like if you're maybe what you're accepting is that you weren't nurtured properly by your parent. Mm-hmm. And like, even if you forgive them, even if you let that shit go and you stay in relationship with them, you have to accept that that did damage to you. Mm-hmm. So I think maybe acceptance and forgiveness are kind of circling each other,
like
but they're slightly different.
They're like cousins.
Yes.
Is it
sisters?
Could it be? And truly, I'm asking.
I really, really like that.
Is it possible that if you forgive someone, are you giving yourself permission to love them again? Whereas acceptance is more like a cold, I accept that this is a shitty situation, I'm just moving forward with them. Whereas forgiveness, you're kind of coming back to them, or Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I think forgiveness does feel warmer.
Yeah. There's like a wraparound something about it.
There feels something warmer about it because but I also feel like forgiveness doesn't absolve, it doesn't remove the harm. Like, you can move forward in that relationship and you are still going to have to deal with the consequences of what happened, regardless if you forgive them or not. Like, that's, like, when I think about maybe, like, a parent neglecting you, you can forgive them for neglecting you, and you can accept, like, you can lovingly be like, I see why that happened. You're not in that space anymore. I also think it's a lot easier to forgive someone when they are not behaving poorly anymore, because then you really are like, oh, you get it. It feels like they're asking for forgiveness in a way.
Oh, I think that's key, right? Because if they're still acting shitty, all you can do is accept it.
Right.
And acceptance feels like I like how you said it before too. It's almost like forgiveness is like the umbrella term, and like acceptance is like the specific acts. Like, it gets very specific, which I like.
Yeah, and I think, what I've had to accept is that the things I didn't get, and I don't know if I'm necessarily forgiving people for not giving me what I needed as much as I'm forgiving them for, like, the way they behaved. And I think that's like splitting hairs at this point, but I think that
I think
forgiveness feels more about the other person in an odd way to me.
Yeah. It's in that it's for them or it's about them.
It's about them. And it feels like acceptance feels like it's about me a little bit more. Because I feel like acceptance, like, for instance, if you're in a relationship with someone, they haven't changed, they're never going to change, and you have to accept that. That's very one-sided. That's all about you. They're not engaging and doing anything.
Acceptance you're doing for you.
In the relationship. That's completely a singular event that's happening alone. They're not even thinking about you, probably, and all the work you're having to do to navigate the way they treat you.
But forgiveness, like, is more relational in some, like, you need to have, like, that relationship be current and kind of active to forgive somebody.
I don't necessarily think so. I just think that, I don't know. It kind of goes to the idea, which is a little bit different, but I don't even know if you can forgive somebody who isn't asking for forgiveness. I don't know what the point of that is.
And maybe this is kind of like I know I kind of said this like jokingly earlier, like forgiveness is kind of like a religious thing, but I think maybe where my mindset is coming from that definition, and you're coming from like an actual like definition of it. Like how I think of forgiveness has been framed in a way that's like.
Frame it for me, not religious.
And I'm not, but the way that I feel like I grew up hearing about it was like, forgiveness is for you because the other person might never change. The other person, they could have, they sinned, like the sinning thing or whatever, but you still have to forgive them because that's for you. That's otherwise you're carrying that load. I feel like that's how it's like culturally framed a lot, is like, if you don't forgive, you're carrying this burden or you're carrying this load.
Like you're carrying anger and resentment if you don't forgive them, so let it go.
Yes. I think that's how it's framed a lot.
I think that is how it's framed.
I don't think that's true necessarily, but I think that's how it's like, if you don't forgive, then you're harming yourself. Like, you're doing this to yourself. Like, you're letting this person have control over you if you don't forgive, kind of rhetoric, I'm
not mad at my ex, but I don't forgive him. If I saw him in the street, I wouldn't say hello. And I don't think about him often. I don't forgive him, though, but I don't think about him, and I don't think about the way he cheated on me and all that happened. None of that feels like it's about me at all. It doesn't feel personal. I don't feel wounded by it. Yeah. But I don't forgive him.
Yeah, no.
So I don't know. There's a couple people in my life where I'm like, I don't forgive you.
And you don't tolerate? Yeah.
Well, you haven't asked to be forgiven, so it doesn't matter. But I'm just saying, like, I'm not carrying resentment. Like, the reason I don't forgive him is not because I'm still angry. It's because I think what you did was unforgivable. Yeah. I think the quality of human that you are is so low. I can't forgive you for that or have you in my space or sphere in any way. And, like,
I like the thing about the agency and what you're talking about. Like, forgiveness is, well, that's actually not. That's acceptance. There's more agency in acceptance is what you're saying. Like, that's for you.
I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I think
I get it.
I think conceptually, the thought that I would have to, the only way to not carry anger in my heart and to stew over it is to dote somebody with forgiveness who didn't even fucking ask for it just feels not true.
No, that's nasty.
It's like some religious bullshit.
Yes.
what percentage of
because
people?
it's like that's how like abuse culture gets perpetuated is through like that idea of forgiveness is just for you, like forgive them anyway. Like, fuck no.
What were you gonna say, Gabe?
Yes,
What percentage of people who use the word forgiveness do you think are even fucking thinking about? Like, to me, it's just something people say when they're on bullshit. Like, it's just
it's like a buzzword.
yeah, it's meaningless. I believe for like 75% of people who say it. Like, it's just something you're supposed to say. Oh, I forgive them, but they don't do any internal work
People,
or like.
right. People use it a way is to like get past things. Like I forgive you. Like let's just like, not deal with this.
Well, that's actually what I wanted to talk about because I think in family systems, people are often pressured into forgiving people as a tool to peacekeep. Like, I don't care if you forgive your auntie or not. You guys need to make up because I don't want Christmas to be awkward.
Mm-hmm.
And like those kinds of things of like you have to forgive them because they're your sibling.
Yes.
Or you have to forgive them because of who they are. And like forgiveness is used as a tool to smooth everything over because without forgiveness, it's too uncomfortable for everybody else.
You have to forgive Grandpa. He just like says mean things or whatever, like that type of thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think that kind of conceptually is interesting because I think, especially in those family situations, the other family member usually isn't asking for forgiveness. Both family members are usually being approached separately and being told, like,
and forgiving
go do something inauthentic because everybody else needs this relationship to be good right now. Go be fake.
And forgiving them, I feel like sometimes for those people, like props them up more. Like it gives them more. They're like, oh,
it's permission.
Yes,
there's no consequences for my behavior.
I've never heard that happen where someone forgives me and go like, oh yeah, all right, I got away with it.
I think it's like.
Internally, that is hands down what they do.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Well, also what happens is, especially in these situations, forgiveness isn't even a conversation. It's just letting it go. So this is what I mean when people aren't even asking for forgiveness. It's like, one family member, I feel like this happens often with like grandchildren or children and parents. And it's like they're angry, they feel hurt, they feel harmed by that family member. And the people around them are saying like, oh, just forgive them, just blah, blah, blah. And their version in that family of forgiving them is letting them go and not letting it go and not talking about it. Mm-hmm. You're not getting an apology. There's not even the fake apology or the conversation, right?
I just don't want to deal with this.
People are just pulling you aside and guilting you into forgiving them.
To make it easier for everybody else.
It's like they're saying, can you just shut the fuck up about this?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Will you agree to shut the fuck up about this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I need you to shut the fuck up about this because we all know that Grandpa's like this and you're really fucking shit up by bringing this up. We've all accepted this. Let it go.
We're good with it. Can you be good with it?
We'd all be having such a good time if you didn't bring up this fucked up thing.
The social pressure to forgive. I felt that a lot when I was younger in friend groups, like 22 and under. I felt that a lot where like one or two people in the group would like be behaving in a way that made me really uncomfortable. And it was usually like being unsafe when we were drunk or things like that. Or like, God, like the girls in the group who would like be blacked out before we even left. And I'm like the person saying something and now I'm a buzzkill. But they're actually get to first Ave, we can't even get let in, right? And then it's like the next day I'm frustrated and everybody's like, just let it go.
You're like, no, they fucked up my whole fucking
life. Always drunk. Right. So like there's always, I feel like when you're in relationship with people and there's kind of crossover, there is some kind of pressure to just get along and let it go. Mm-hmm. No matter how you feel about it. And that kind of gets positioned
an interesting one.
A lot of time as forgiveness.
Mm-hmm. They let it go.
Or they gaslight the person who's angry and tell them it's not that deep. It's not that deep. You're blowing this out of proportion. It's not that deep. Let it go. But whatever avenue towards let it go and make this easy for everybody else, that's what they take. And I think forgiveness is often one. Yeah. So when I see clients coming in and they're like, my life is actually just horrible because I couldn't forgive my ex and I'm just bitter and that's what everybody's telling me, I think you're off the mark.
Yeah.
When someone's coming in with a goal for forgiveness, I think it's a little bit off the mark.
It's like when it's like the healing journey thing. It's like, I want to forgive or like, I want to be happy, I just want to, whatever those like things are. I'm like, let's be for real. Like, that's not.
What do they actually want? Why are people leaning towards forgiveness? What do you think they're coming in search of?
They're feeling sad. They're feeling depressed. They're feeling angry and they don't want to feel that way. Like you told me this, somebody told me this. It's like people don't have an averse reaction to emotions. They're like fighting, like having to even get to the emotion. They're not regretting, but anticipating like the hard feeling and And so like they haven't even felt the thing. They're just like tensed up because they know how bad it's going to feel. And so I feel like, you know, when I want to forgive or I want to let this go, like
It's because they're
to
trying
not
to
feel the hard
avoid
feeling.
the emotion
Yes.
that they're having.
But client-wise, yes, that's what I see.
So it'd be like, oh, you know, I don't want to go through how this impacted me, what this person did. So instead of processing the pain of them impacting me, I just want to know how to let it go and forgive them.
Yeah, people come in and I literally tell them, I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'll be like, that's not the work that I do. But I get that you want to do that, and maybe like forgiving them could be like a fun thing that comes out of this. But my work, like, I'm not trying to like help you like let go of like, if that happens, that's great. But I want you to process it and then like see what happens after you process it.
Can I propose a new rule?
Sure.
How about just we drop the whole like forgiving people and you can only seek forgiveness? To me, that would be earnest. Like, you know, if you actually go like, when's the last time, have you guys in the last 5 years seeked like earnest forgiveness? Like something where you actually wanted it or needed it on some level?
I did it one time, and I did it for a guy. I fucked over a guy when I was like 19. I never let it go, and I did it. I saw him on Tinder. It was like 5 years later. I fucking wrote him. I was like, can we get a drink so I can apologize? And
I would think you're trying to fucking hit it for sure.
Oh my God. So then we went out, and he was like, but he was hurt. He was really hurt by what I did. Like, I don't think he would have slept with me. Like, we weren't in a good...
He would have. No, I mean, this guy.
No, I know.
But yeah,
But you told me that
it's revenge for a guy.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'd never slept together, though. So anyways.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'd never. It wasn't like we did sleep together. It was before we had slept. It's complicated and not worth going into.
Yeah,
but at the time, I was the worst thing I'd ever done. So I saw him. We got a drink. I was like, had a conversation with him about how sorry I was. And he basically said I had to sit there and listen while he told me all the ways that what I did impacted him negatively. And I just ate it, listened, even though I didn't agree, to be honest.
Right.
Like some of the shit he was saying, I was like,
people love piling on.
Yeah, piling on. Yeah, but I'm just listening. Because that's what, if you actually fucking care about forgiveness and how you impacted this person, you're not going to correct them about how what you did harmed them. Like, just shut the fuck up and listen. So I'm listening. I heard all of it. I asked him, I apologized again. I asked him if he wanted to know why I did what I did or not. And he was like, I actually did. And I told him the real reason why I did it. And then we made small talk for like 30 minutes about like what's been going on in our lives since then. And then I like left. And he like followed me out. Like, you actually didn't want anything from this? Like, this like blew his mind. And it was like continuous after that, like a couple texts, a couple weeks, like a couple whatever. He was really like, couldn't imagine that I really just wanted to apologize.
Yeah, he thought you wanted to hit it.
But he didn't want to sleep with me.
Yeah.
He didn't. It was very
But
clear.
he thought you wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I was being earnest.
Yeah. Right.
I was being authentic. I really felt bad. And I was like, if you feel some bad about something for that long, you should probably.
How did you feel walking away from it? Like, did you feel cleansed?
I felt proud of myself.
Really?
And I felt relieved because I think I was so nervous before. And it wasn't going bad because I was apologizing. So there had been some drinks involved. So I think I was just like a little loose when I left. But I felt good about myself because I felt brave. I was like, you did that thing. And then when he like kind of did the like extension of like, do you want to stay connected? And I was like, no, I genuinely wanted to apologize. I felt good to be able to be like, no, I really altruistically did this thing.
Yeah.
I really just straight up, altruistic's not the right word because I was wrong, but whatever. I didn't do it for personal gain except for the satisfaction of apologizing. Right. So.
Have you guys ever had it where, like, I have one situation where I have very earnestly asked for forgiveness in a similar way. And then the person brings it up again and again. And it's almost like, I'm sorry, I did the time on this one already. Like, and that's a very weird position to be put into. Like, where I think I ate like two in a row or something. And then it's like, all right, I fucking did this already. So now you got to drop it. Is that okay?
Depends on what it is.
I actually did have something like that happen. And I ended up being like, we can't be cool. Or it's like, stay connected because like, you're clearly not over it. And like, I
Not about to drag
The
me
reason
over
I was
shit.
able to apologize the way I was and show up the way I was, because we were going to try to be friendly,
Right.
was because like this seemed like a lifetime ago to me. And like,
Right.
I care about you as a person, but I don't care about this enough to eat shit like this. Like, I kind of feel like I did what I did. And if you wanted to like casually stay connected as friends, like we were at one point,
That would have been cool.
that would have been cool. But this,
Didn't want to do all this.
I didn't want to
This
do
was
all
more
this.
emotional labor than I signed up for.
But, you know, what can you say? I think I'm not saying this person specifically, but I think some people, I don't think he was ready to let it go because I was like the villain in his villain origin story. And I think he needed that.
It would reorient his sense of self to forgive you in some way. Or all the way even.
And the wanting to stay connected was just weird, and at one point just felt like, are you like trying to punish me, or like do you just wanted to be able to bring, like, it was just odd. So
yeah.
But yeah, I do think that you're right. I think it's only really earnest when somebody's asking for forgiveness.
I like that.
All the times I've ever yelled at a partner to apologize to me and you should be sorry. Whenever I ended up getting the apology, it was dog shit, even if they said all the right things. Because it's just like, but you just did that. So this would be over.
Dog shit, bro.
You just did that so this would be over. You don't really feel bad.
Yes.
Have you ever had somebody
You
apologize
feel like
to you?
I deserve that shit, and I'd rather have the real fight. So I know who you are instead of doing this. What were you going to say?
You ever had somebody apologize to you in a really meaningful way and like ask for forgiveness and then like way later be like, nah, I didn't mean that shit?
Jesus Christ, what kind of psychos are you hanging out with?
Well,
Oh, no.
the one suing for defamation.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I have not had that happen. Actually, yes, I have. Yes, I have. Not in like a recent relationship, but I have had that happen where somebody apologized earnestly and then I pissed them off. And the next time I pissed them off, they were like, I actually wasn't sorry for that. And this is why I know you're a fucking dummy. They didn't say it like that,
Yeah.
basically.
Was it a woman or man? I'm very.
Man. And it was a
Okay.
gut punch.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. But it's because they didn't mean it when they apologized the first time.
And I knew they didn't mean it.
Which is still hurtful, though.
Yeah, it is.
It's super hurtful. How much time are we at? Do we have time to do 10 more minutes to do the last topic?
Yeah, let's do it. We're at an hour 15.
Cool. All right. We're going to talk about compassion fatigue last. We've been wanting to talk about this.
Ben needed to.
Ben needed to. And it's very similar to burnout, but it's different because it has like a different level of intensity to it. And it's specific to people who are kind of in a caretaking role.
Kind of in helping professions.
Helping professions, yes. But I also imagine that like, if you are like caretaking a family member in a real way with physical like illness,
like you're around the
mental
clock
illness,
caretaker.
around the clock caretaker, you also would get compassion fatigue.
Fuck yeah.
So, thank you. Compassion fatigue is the combination of burnout and secondary trauma. I think the secondary trauma piece is which makes it specific to like a caretaker role because you have to be encountering some kind of trauma to be getting the secondary trauma.
Interesting.
I feel like most people experience burnout. Like I think that in itself is very, very universal.
Man, do you think you're feeling burnt out?
I'm not feeling burnt out right now. No, I'm not.
I'm good. I'm glad.
Are you saying this as like from the perspective of a therapist or from, okay.
Or what's the other perspective?
Well, I was, to me, could be an appendage of woke culture, kind of, right? Like you have to care about everything all the time. And there's times where it's like, hey, my shit's fucked up. I don't really have time to.
No, I think people get, what is that called? Like desensitized to like caring. Like you're like, I can't care about everything and nothing all at once. Like you just have to either shut down or open yourself up.
That's burnout. So burnout is what you're describing of like this. There's this podcaster and comedian Corinne Fisher. She actually came up with this. She coined this term like, I don't know, a couple podcasts ago that I was watching. And she called it like activism ADHD.
Ooh.
And just like everybody online is like being an activist for a cause for like a week or whatever until it's on to the new thing. And that's going to be like the hill they're going to die on. And that's why we're not getting anything done. It's because nobody's actually committed to a single cause. They're just like performatively acting like they care rather than doing real work, which I think.
That's the entire
Activism
world.
ADHD. I love that.
I know. I was clever of her. I was
That's
like,
really
shout out, Corinne. But burnout is like you can get physical symptoms from burnout, emotional symptoms. behavioral symptoms. So like the physical symptoms would be like getting headaches, stomach aches,
back aches, tension in your shoulders, tension in the back of your neck.
It's getting personal. Low appetite.
Literally.
Having trouble sleeping. So that's like anybody. You can have that just period. Just kind of like a lack of care. You feel just kind of cynical about the world. Like nothing's ever going to get better. Like also it kind of can start to mess with your like self-esteem. I feel like when you're having burnout, because you can only feel this crappy for so long before a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people start. I feel like
descend into depression.
Yes. Yes.
That's so true. Like I can't like, it's like, well, because burnout makes it feel like, I think like you're not meeting the level of anything. You're not doing household stuff. You're not doing work stuff. You're not taking care of anything because you're so burnt out. And so you're like, your sense of self just like fucking plummets.
I also feel like when you are accomplishing tasks, you're not getting the satisfaction. Like you're not getting the dopamine hit. Like you're so behind. You feel so gross.
There's no activation happening either.
Not at all. And I think the behavioral, like the way it really shows up, and I see it all the time in coworkers, is like not only the jaded piece, but also like the procrastination, the putting off work, the not following through tasks. Like when we're all in a meeting with a bunch of different departments and we're like trying to assign who's going to do this 5-minute task, and everybody's sitting there like,
please no, please no,
this is going to be the thing that puts me over. I'm going to fight to the death not to have to do it. That feels like burnout. Or like there's a kid who's like crying on the ground and everyone's walking by and like secretly irritated because they have to. You're thinking back to day treatment.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Share a little bit about just like a quick snap what day treatment is.
Oh my gosh. The thing about day treatment was that I was like a fresh spring chicken in like therapy. So I had like energy for that shit. I was like invigorated. I was like, oh my God. And like not making a difference.
But what is it?
Oh, day treatment is where you essentially send kids with like large behavioral issues. Maybe they have trouble regulating at school or regulating at home. They're like, can't be redirected, kind of stuff like that. And so they have to come and spend either a partial day or a full day in a program where they work on like having pro-social skills, where they can be around other kids, be around other adults, kind of all in line.
Perfect explanation. And what did you do at day treatment? You weren't a therapist yet, were you?
I wasn't a therapist, but I was this is while I was in grad school. This is
the grunt work.
Ooh.
This is the grunt work.
I wasn't even like allowed to see kids one-on-one. I was only doing like physical work. So like you get trained to do holds, like putting kids in holds. It's like the type of thing where it's like a locked unit. So you have like the actual padded rooms with like the white padded walls and the white padded floors. And you're like, have to be okay with like putting kids in there, and you don't leave them alone. You stand outside and there's like a little window, but like you kind of you like, well, this kid is disrupting everybody else. They just said the N-word 50 times, and like you're like, yeah, I'm going to put you in this fucking room.
So when you're doing that job, often what you're getting is secondary trauma.
Yeah.
Because you're interacting with kids who have significant trauma, and you're either participating in re-traumatizing them by holding them down and putting them in restraints.
Which was like part of our whole thing.
You're witnessing them getting trauma because you're watching their family systems and all the abuse, kids coming in, and there's all this abuse reported, or these family members who are not taking care of their children.
And it's like kids who are being gross with you sometimes, right? So they're either being kind of like relationally gross, or they're being sexual, or they're saying kind of like racially charged things that are gross. And so you're actively like having to suppress like a reaction to something that you would normally have a reaction to, and like turn it into a learning moment almost every time. Like it has to be like a repair moment. It has to be a boundary moment every time. You can't just flip out and be like, get the fuck out of my face, like, or that was mean. Like that doesn't cut it.
Right. And I think that's a different level of exhaustion in the moment, because you're having to control your responses, like,
and regulate,
and getting cussed out and spit at. The spitting is,
bro, the kicking of my shins was the worst part.
Kicked.
You know what? When you say that, though, one of the things about it that is helpful is that you can kind of disconnect. But I think that adds to the burnout, because you're like,
how do you disconnect in a real way?
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's not really disconnecting. You're not really compartmentalizing, especially in day treatment. It's like volatile. Like there's no real sense of like pausing for a second. Like you could be sitting in a group reading with these kids, and then all of a sudden somebody's like trying to get a pencil to like stab you.
Yeah.
And you just don't know. And I think you also forget like how like regulated kids are. like you start to assume that all kids are like this. And then when you walk into a classroom full of like regular third graders and they're all just sitting, or maybe one kid's kind of like fussing but can be redirected, you're like, oh, not all kids are like this.
Mm-hmm.
And you really forget that it's these kids are like this for a reason, like reasons. They're not just like this. You do kind of lose sense of that.
It's interesting because now that I'm not on the floor and I'm not doing some of the restraining or whatever, because I work with the kids who are one step above that. A lot of those kids in day treatment were in the hospital, and that's why they're in day treatment now. Or they are in day treatment, they code and get put in restraints, and then like still actively trying to harm themselves or other people and get brought to the hospital. So like there's a lot of cross with those kids and that work. And when you're doing the day-to-day, the burnout is real because of how hard the job is, but also you're experiencing all that trauma, and then you're like having to engage with them and you're getting the least amount of respect. As I've transitioned to being a therapist, when I hear a kid being sexual or inappropriate, because I'm not constantly being berated by them all day, I just feel internally disgusted because I know that something bad is happening at home.
Yes.
And that's also hard for me to take in. That's like where I'm at now, where it's like...
And working with kids and teens is a whole different part. Like that burnout, like that you have to experience, or just like, I only work with 18 and up. Not for just that reason, but it's like a big reason. I can't take in over and over and over again, like whole family systems that like I can't. I need like the trauma to be in the past for them.
Well, the thing that's difficult too is when you're experiencing secondary trauma, you're having PTSD. So you can have PTSD symptoms.
Right.
So you're like somebody else's trauma can cause you to have symptoms of PTSD.
Right. You can have flashbacks that were like somebody fucking else's, or nightmares or things like that start impacting your work. Yeah.
Right. And so like it can, when you're having like pretty much PTSD, and then on top of that, you're feeling the burnt out and drag that everybody feels in their normal day-to-day job when it gets hard, and you're supposed to show up and be emotionally vulnerable and listen and be curious and engaged and like attentive. It feels almost impossible.
Yes.
Especially because when you think about like those PTSD symptoms, we're talking about like panic attacks, nightmares. You start having a hard time talking about and identifying emotions because you feel so overwhelmed all the time. Usually your eating and sleep changes. They're like feeling less interested. We feel less interested or invested in the work. And then also you start to feel frustrated at clients in a way that you probably didn't experience when you were a spring chicken, as you would call it, because... what happens, I feel like, is when you have less to give, you get frustrated when people demand more of you.
Yeah.
And so it's this complete tension and pull because...
And you're getting frustrated with yourself because you know that's what it is.
Do you? I feel like in the moment, I often don't know what's going on until like
I don't think
after.
Burnout, but I definitely am like, I'm frustrated because I don't want to feel like this in session. Like I like feeling invested. I like the feeling of, enjoying my clients. But it's, I get frustrated when I'm like, girl, you were like checked out for 30 seconds and like I missed something. And I didn't I just kind of like went somewhere else. So it's like that frustration also is hard for me personally, maybe.
Because you feel like you're letting yourself down or the client down?
It's both. It's like it's because I like what I do. I think it's disappointing. Like I like my job. I like the career path. I like all of it. And so when I feel tired of it or tired of aspects of it, that feels disappointing to me, I think.
I remember coming into my job and like having a lot of judgment when I met people who were burnt out because of how disinterested and uninvested they were in their work. And they made a lot of assumptions about clients and weren't curious. Like they go to the easy answer every time. Every time. Like the most basic, easy answer. And I would always judge them because I'm like, they have so much more depth in this. Like just be patient. Just be curious. Just sit with them. And then you see like, for me personally, you meet, I don't know, 200 new people in 2 months. And I'm not as curious with every person, right? Like, I think I'm really working hard not to be burnt out, but I think I had pretty unrealistic expectations of how doing work like this
I did too.
Impacts your spirit.
I think I totally had the same feeling of like, who's really getting burnt out? Like, not like, I kind of was like being a jackass about like internally. I was like, I'm like, you just aren't like doing, like you aren't good enough or something like that. I really thought that. And now I'm like dying. It's It's a lot of fucking
I think the judgment that comes out is when people start lashing out at clients because they're burnt out, or they start doing care that like becomes unethical
and like lackluster,
or they start like making assumptions about the people in which they're working with that feel racial or feel like just lower than. I'm like, you're better than this.
Yes.
You have more to give than this. You don't have to just jump to the obvious answer.
Don't just do the thing that just like settles you like right now. Yeah.
Yeah. But we're about to come back from this long ass break. You know,
and we're going together.
We're going together.
I'm excited.
You're gonna exhaust me.
I am gonna exhaust you with doing nothing.
You should tell the audience where you're going or what you're doing.
We're going to Costa Rica.
We're going to Costa Rica. Where are we going in Costa Rica?
I have no idea.
The Pacific Coast. That's the richest thing you've ever said.
And there's no men going with you?
My brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
But other than this, no men.
No men. So yeah, it's gonna be great. We're gonna ride horses and do all the things that Rachel will be doing on the trip.
That lesbians do.
Yeah,
literally the lesbians do.
Exactly.
There's another friend coming too, but essentially, it's still be an open relationship. Well, Javae wants to go deep sea diving.
No,
not diving, deep sea fishing.
Oh, hell yes.
Yeah.
I'm the only person in the whole world who's like disinterested.
It's amazing.
I've done it before.
Tell me why. Tell me why it's amazing.
Do you like to fish?
Fishing is one of the most gratifying, like...
I like the water. Like, I don't get it about me, because I like to be in the water,
Do you
on
like
the water,
to fish?
I like boats.
You didn't answer the question.
Have you ever fished? Like, I mean, for real.
No, we used to go fly fishing. I grew up fishing. I've been, like,
Well, if you don't like fishing, then that's why you don't like it. But
yeah, it's gross.
Yeah, it probably just because you're a bitch.
That too.
Yeah.
I'd ruin the fucking vibe.
I feel like the type of fish you're catching and this like the whole experience. I've done it one time and it was just really gratifying. The fish were large. It was fun. It was fun to cast out.
That probably feels good. It's like an actual accomplishment, and you can like eat it.
I don't care about
It's like opening a present. Like it's like something bites on. It's like, oh, what is this? You know, like you get some dopamine hit too.
You're gonna hate this answer, but it's so much work.
Oh my God.
And on that note,
bye, y'all.
We'll see you guys in the new year. Take care.
I was like, if I really think, oh my God, that feels so good.
You guys pulled that exit on me too fast. Sorry, it was slow.
Say that again?
I said you pulled that exit on me too fast.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Oops.
Why did you get hurt?
Yeah. I didn't even realize.
You want to have to run this